Hello. Let's take a look at some of our short-term decisions that are non-routine in nature. In this problem, we're going to look at a decision on whether to process further. So remember, in these types of decisions, you're trying to decide, should I sell a product as is or spend more money to get it to a different form and hopefully sell it for more? Schrute Inc. processes sugar beets in batches. A batch of sugar beets costs $56 and $14 to crush in the company's plant. Two intermediate products, fiber and juice, emerge from the crushing process. So from this first bit of information, we can see that we do have some joint costs, and that's the cost of the beets and the initial cost of crushing those sugar beets. So we have joint cost of $70. Now when we're trying to decide what to do with the fiber and juice that emerge from the process naturally, remember these are sunk costs. For inventory costing purposes, they will be assigned to the inventory, but for decision-making purposes, these costs are not relevant. All right, so the fiber can be sold as is for $24 or processed further for $12 to make the end product industrial fiber that is sold for $31. The juice can be sold as is for $43 or processed further for $29 to make the end product refined sugar that is sold for $91. How much profit or loss does the company generate by processing each of the products further? All right, so we have our two products, fiber and juice, and what we want to look at is, will the extra revenues generated exceed the extra cost incurred for each of these products? So if we process fiber further, we get an extra $7 because the industrial fiber sells for $31, and at the split off point the fiber sells for $24. So we'll get an extra $7 if we process it further. Now the juice we can process into sugar, and it sells for $91 if we go ahead and make refined sugar, but it only sells for $43 at the split off point. So that's an extra $48. We need to compare this to the extra costs we will incur. Those are the only ones relevant to the decision. So the extra cost of going from fiber to industrial fiber is $12. And the extra cost of going from juice to refined sugar is $29. So the incremental income if we go from fiber to industrial fiber is -5. If we go from juice to refined sugar, the incremental income is 19. So based on this analysis, we'll sell the fiber at the split off point. We will not make industrial fiber, and we will process the juice into refined sugar to maximize income. So the decision to process further is a pretty simple one. You simply look at what extra revenues will I obtain and what cost will I incur to process further.